Today is Tuesday, December 31st, 2024, the final day of the year. This is the 47 Daily Podcast, and my name is Mark Kaye. President Donald Trump is telling everybody to shut up. well, not everybody, just the people that he's nominated for important cabinet positions, just the people that he's trying to put in charge of the country and hoping to push through with a fantastically easy Senate confirmation process here in just a couple of weeks. It won't be fantastically easy, of course, especially for a couple of the more high profile and volatile and, some would even say controversial picks like Pete Hegseth for Department of Defense Secretary. Also, Tulsi Gabbard, who is, on the short list of candidates to fill Donald Trump's administration positions, and RFK Jr., the only Democrat that Donald Trump has appointed to his cabinet for health and human services. All of those particular individuals, in fact, everybody on Team Trump has now been ordered, or it's been strongly advised by Chief of Staff Susie Wiles that they remain off of social media for the duration. Breitbart reports, and originally this report came from, I believe, the New York Post. They obtained a memo from Team Trump that ordered their cabinet nominees to cease social media posts ahead of confirmation hearings. President-elect Donald Trump's team is ordering cabinet nominees to cease all social media posts ahead of their confirmation hearings, according to reports. The New York Post first reported this directive, noting that Susie Wiles, Trump's former campaign manager and incoming chief of staff, sent out the order on Sunday. In the memo, she also noted that none of the nominees speak for Trump. While this instruction has been delivered previously, she wrote, "I am reiterating that no member of the incoming administration or transition speaks for the United States or the president-elect himself." Wiles wrote, urging nominees to refrain from any public social media posts without prior approval of the incoming White House counsel. The Post confirmed that nominees have to seem to have been adhering to the ask, which was delivered December 29th. Those who could face tough questioning, Breitbart reports, are Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, as well as Pete Hegseth. They have all apparently quieted down their social media presence since Christmas. The Senate confirmation begins in January, and then they go into Article 2, Section 2. You know the thing. And this is a very smart directive, or a very smart ask of Susie Wiles and President Donald Trump, because what you have here are people who are facing criticism, and the Democrats on these committees, the Democrats on the left, the members of the media, they are scouring every single social media post, and they are trying to find anything and everything that they can to stop or cease or throw a wrench in the system and disqualify these candidates who Donald Trump really wants. Donald Trump really wants RFK Jr. in charge of health and human services. He really wants Tulsi Gabbard as his national defense. As his intelligence. Hold on, I know it. The director of national intelligence. Thank you. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those letters and words that fly around. He really wants Pete Hegseth to lead up the Department of Defense, and he doesn't want them to tweet or write anything that could stop that or muck up the system. And B, also, he doesn't want them to step out of line and say something that he himself is not prepared to do. Now, a lot of folks believe that this directive came from the hubbub that was going on over the Christmas break with the leaders of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE is, of course, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And while they are not actual cabinet positions, while they're not actual members of the administration, DOGE is a separate entity made of civilians who are working as contributors to the government, or as consultants, if you will. They don't require Senate approval, and therefore they are free to tweet and they are free to post on social media at will, which I would imagine would be the case since Elon Musk actually owns X. Elon Musk and Donald Trump have a lot in common. They both own their own social media networks. And that is something that is very unique, and also, I think, lends to their unique relationship. When you have your own social media network, when you own your own social media network, you have very few peers that you can talk to and discuss things with, someone who understands the trials and tribulations of owning a social media network. And what happens as a result is that you have to look at everybody else who owns a social media network to find somebody to hang out with. And you want to hang out with somebody who has similar ideals. And there's like a handful of social media networks, only a handful of people that own them, and only a couple here that have similar political ideals and aspirations. And that's again why you have Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I believe, being so close knit, not just because of their political beliefs, but because of their business enterprises and the unique struggles that each one of them finds themselves in. Somebody else who may have a difficult time getting confirmed or reelected is Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, who President Donald Trump threw out a life preserver to yesterday. President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, his social media network, a stunning endorsement of Mike Johnson. Well, it actually began with a praise of himself and his campaign and the way that he was able to win all 7 swing states, 312 electoral college votes, and the popular vote by millions of votes. He went on to talk about how their campaign was amazing, despite the fact that there may have been widespread fraud in places like California, where they're still actually counting and reviewing votes. He went on to praise himself for having a legendary campaign. Then he went on to bash Kamala Harris, saying Democrats are being excoriated for their effort, having wasted $2.5 billion. He went on to talk about how much of that money is unaccounted for and may have been spent illegally. For example, by buying endorsements from Beyonce for $11 million, $2 million to Oprah, $500,000 to Reverend Al Sharpton, who actually pretended to be a member of the unbiased media and interviewed both Tim Walz and Kamala Harris while he was taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from the campaign, which just doesn't seem kosher. Then he went on to talk about how they weaponized the DOJ and the FBI against him, but it didn't work. And then at the very end, he gets into Speaker Mike Johnson and says, Speaker Mike Johnson is a good, hardworking, religious man. He will do the right thing and we will continue to win. Mike has my complete and total endorsement, MAGA. And this is coming at a very interesting time, because after Donald Trump was publicly upset, or publicly, I guess you would say, publicly desirous of the debt ceiling being removed from the spending package, after he sent J.D. Vance, his vice president-elect, into the Capitol, into Mike Johnson's office to sit down with the speaker and renegotiate the package and tell him what's what and show him what needed to be done. After all of that happened, and Mike Johnson still didn't deliver the spending package that Donald Trump wanted, everybody thought Mike Johnson was done for. Everyone thought he was over. Everyone thought that they were going to be scrambling and seeking and searching for some new Speaker of the House who could actually have the backbone and the negotiating skills and the wherewithal and the cojones and the chutzpah to push forward Donald Trump's agenda and help make America great again. And Donald Trump has looked around, I guess. He's surveyed the landscape, and despite the flurry of craziness that was this spending bill, he decided that Mike Johnson is actually the best person in the job. He doesn't want a bitter battle in the House of Representatives. He wants a Speaker of the House installed on Friday without any kind of tumult. He wants the vote to go through pretty much easy peasy lemon squeezy. And that's good, because he's also got to get the election certified on Monday, and they don't want anything holding that up. And Speaker Johnson was interviewed yesterday on Fox News, and here's what he said about receiving President Donald Trump's endorsement.
Really humbled and honored to have President Trump's endorsement for Speaker again. He and I work so well together, so closely together, and we have a lot of big things to do. He recognizes that what we need right now, I think my colleagues recognize this as well, is a proven fighter and a true MAGA conservative, but also someone who can work with every single member of our very diverse House GOP so that we can get President Trump's priorities over the line. That's what's ahead of us. I think this could be the most consequential presidency and Congress of the modern era, because we have to fix everything, and it has to start on day one, so we can't waste any time.
All right, so there's Mike Johnson making the case on behalf of himself and President Donald Trump and saying, look, we can't waste any time. Let's not have a bitter battle on Friday. Let's go in. Let's get me certified, because nothing else can happen in the House of Representatives by law. Until there's a Speaker of the House, no other matters can come to the floor. Nothing can be debated. Nothing can be introduced. Nothing can be voted on. Nothing can be ratified. Nothing can be certified. And as we pointed out, not only do we have to choose a new Speaker of the House for the new incoming Congress, but on Monday, it's the anniversary of January 6th, and Donald Trump will have the electoral votes in the Congress to be certified Kamala Harris will be there. But if we don't have a Speaker of the House and we don't have a House in session, then that's going to throw another wrench in the system. And Donald Trump doesn't want that. He wants to be confirmed or certified. He wants to be inaugurated. He wants to get to work on day one. And so does the rest of the country. Speaking of Washington, D.C. and the inauguration, a lot of people are making big plans heading up for the inauguration. We'll be there ourselves. We'll be broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. on Inauguration Week. And one of the things that Donald Trump has always been a proponent of, or one of the things that Donald Trump has always wanted to do, is make sure that Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, is as perfect and beautiful and is a symbol of American greatness, just like so many of the other great capitals all around the world. If you go to any major city and any major economic center, like even China and Beijing or Japan and their capital city, whenever you go anywhere in the country, or in the world rather, you see an emphasis on the capital unlike any other part of the country, because they know it is the symbol of the nation. And when world leaders come to visit, they come to visit the Capitol, and you want them to be impressed, not just impressed, but you want them to be almost intimidated by how amazing your capital city is. In Washington, D.C., under Muriel Bowser, has just sunken into depravity and crime and just criminal behavior and disgustingness. And Donald Trump wants to fix that. I mean, he's going to live there for the next 4 years. He wants to make it an amazing jewel in America's crown. So he met with Mayor Bowser yesterday, and she released the following statement. Today, President Trump and I had a great meeting to discuss our shared priorities for the president's second term. President Trump and I both want Washington, D.C. to be the best, most beautiful city in the world, and we want the capital city to reflect the strength of our nation. We discussed areas for collaboration between local and federal government, especially around our federal workforce, underutilized federal buildings, parks and green spaces, and infrastructure. I am optimistic that we will continue to find common ground with the president during his second term, and we look forward to supporting a successful inauguration on January 20th. It's a very interesting statement, and it's a very interesting thing going forward, because Donald Trump wants to make Washington, D.C. great again, but he also wants to make Washington, D.C. small. Again, there's been talk, the Doge's job is to come in and cut back the American political workforce. Their job is to cut back the size of government. Their job is to take entire divisions and areas of our government and agencies and just shut them down or pare them down. And there's even been talk about moving them out to other parts of the country. Why does everybody in Washington, D.C. have to be in Washington, D.C.? And would it not behoove the country or benefit the country to move some of these geography non-specific agencies to other parts of the United States of America, so that other parts of the United States of America could have an active role in our government? You don't want all of these people living in a bubble, living in a microcosm where they just feed off of each other and their anger and their anger. What you want is you want different personalities, and you want different areas of the country to have influence on the federal government. So while they are beautifying Washington, D.C. and making it bigger and bolder and stronger, they're also going to be removing a lot of the businesses and the federal workforce and the people from Washington, D.C. too. They don't want those empty buildings or unused workspaces to, become dilapidated or condemned or breed any other kind of negative influence or any other kind of negative subsect of society. So it will be a slippery slope, but one that I'm pretty sure Donald Trump can handle. Muriel Bowser, not so much. No, I'm not so confident about that one, but I think we'll have a new DC mayor before too long. And finally, speaking of beautifying and making changes to the United States of America and different parts of her heritage, President Donald Trump has promised to restore McKinley to the mountain that, at the suggestion of the Sun, bore his name so proudly. This is coming from the New York Sun, and they are very excited that Donald Trump is putting forward a plan to rename Mount McKinley after President McKinley. President McKinley, you may remember, was assassinated. He was also the tariff chief, the one that Donald Trump is modeling all of his tariff priorities after. In fact, Donald Trump quotes or discusses McKinley often about how tariffs can save the United States of America and tariffs can make the United States of America rich. Mount McKinley was named officially for President McKinley, I believe, in the early 1900s, but was renamed Denali, for a more local Aboriginal word, by President Barack Obama in 2015. And ever since then, it's been kind of a controversial, tumultuous renaming, whether it's Denali or Mount McKinley. President Donald Trump wants to rename the mountain in favor of the president. He says, I think he deserves it. President Trump is pledging to restore the name of President McKinley, his model on tariff policy, to North America's tallest mountain. It's a move he promised in 2015, one that will please Ohioans, smarting over President Obama snubbing their martyred native son while angering many Alaskans. So Ohio natives will be very thrilled to have McKinley back on the tip-top, highest peak in the United States of America, while Alaskans may not be so happy to have the mountain renamed once again to Denali. Either way, it's one of Donald Trump's new pet projects, and it's something that he may, in fact, be working diligently toward here in his next administration. That and purchasing Greenland and also annexing Canada. I got to tell you, it's going to be a very busy 4 years. And Donald Trump is right. He's going to need everybody in place on day one if he's going to make America great again, fix the border, start the most massive deportation effort in American history, fix the economy, fix our education system, cut down the size of government, buy Greenland, annex Canada, and rename Mount McKinley, while at the same time making Washington, D.C. the most beautiful city in the world. It is going to be very, very busy. Listen, later on today at 12 noon Eastern time, you can watch or listen to our second podcast, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. It's a commentary news podcast. It's much longer than this one, and it involves interviews and other stories, not just about the 47th president of the United States, not just the stories we get from the Trump administration, not just the news from the White House to my mouth to your ears for the next 4 years, but all other kinds of great stuff. So if you have not yet downloaded, please do so. Do a quick search on iTunes or Spotify. You can find it pretty easily. There are links in the body of this, the description of this video. It's Mark Kaye Saves the Republic every single day at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Download, listen, and enjoy.